Hi everyone, Dr. Ben Frimpong here, and welcome to a very important discussion on mental health, understanding the various cognitive distortions. And so what are cognitive distortions? These are exaggerated patterns of thoughts or thinking which consequently leads the individual to view things more negatively than they really are. And so a cognitive distortion basically makes you see anything or everything bad about events or happenings. And so it is very important we identify them because they affect our mental well-being and our social interactions. There are about 15 common cognitive distortions. Let's quickly run through them. I'm going to provide a list of the 15 common cognitive distortions. We have mental filtering, polarization, overgeneralization, discounting the positives, jumping to conclusions, personalization, catastrophizing, always being right, control fallacies, fallacy of fairness, blaming, shoulds, emotional reasoning, fallacy of change, global labeling. And I'm certain by the time we are through with these discussions, you will realize that at a point in time you may have had or exhibited at least one of these cognitive distortions, or you know someone with at least one of these distortions. We begin with mental filtering. In this cognitive distortion, the individual focuses exclusively on the few negative aspects of a situation while ignoring the many or the more positive aspects of the same situation. For example, take a student who scores A's in 9 out of 10 subjects in school, but is very gloomy or sad because he's focusing on that one subject he had a B or she had a B in. That is mental filtering. She has blatantly ignored all the positives, the fact that he scored A's in 9 subjects, and is focusing on the very one she only scored B, and that is affecting her. The next one we want to talk about is polarization. Polarization is also known as the all or none thought pattern, or all or nothing thought pattern. This involves thinking about yourself and the world in an all or nothing way. And so for every event or situation, you are rigid in your view. It is either black or white, with no grays or no shades of gray. For example, your roommate was a saint until she took your pen to lectures. So because of that, she's a villain. So it's either she's a saint or a villain. There is no room for, faults. That is polarization. The all or nothing thought pattern. Next, overgeneralization. Here, you judge or handle all events based on an isolated, usually negative event. For example, a boy named Albert in a yellow shirt once stole your money, and so all yellow-shirted boys called Albert are thieves. Oof. That is some wild cognitive distortion, overgeneralization. The next is discounting the positives. This is similar to mental filtering. As the name suggests, you underestimate or you discount the positives of a situation. So the main difference between discounting the positive and mental filtering is that in discounting the positive, you dismiss the positive events as having no value. However, in filtering, you value the positives, but you just focus on the negatives, and that affects your social well-being. For example, your boss tells you how comprehensive your report was, and you discount that compliment as something anyone else could do. You've discounted the positive. Or you do so well in a job interview, and then you think that it is because they didn't realize you are that good. So you have discounted the positive aspect of the situation. Next, jumping to conclusions. Here, you interpret an event or situation negatively without evidence supporting your conclusion, and then you react to your assumption. For example, your partner comes home looking very serious. Instead of asking how they are, you immediately assume they are mad at you, and so you keep your distance. While in reality, your partner had a very bad day at work. Jumping to conclusions. The next cognitive distortion we want to talk about is catastrophizing. And here, you jump into the worst possible conclusion in every scenario, no matter how improbable the conclusion is. This cognitive distortion leaves you asking a lot of irrational what ifs. For example, you are friends with maybe your cousin in school, and then you start asking questions like, what if he didn't say hello because I scored 100% in the maths test yesterday? That is an irrational what if. And so that is catastrophizing, jumping into the worst possible conclusion in every scenario, no matter how improbable that conclusion is. Personalization. This cognitive distortion leads you to believe you are responsible for events that in reality you are completely or partially out of control. It often results in you feeling guilty or assigning blame without contemplating all factors involved. For example, your child had an accident and you blame yourself for allowing them to go to that party, or you feel that if your partner had woken up earlier, you would have been ready on time for work. That is personalization. Another thing this cognitive distortion does to you is to also make you take things personally. For example, your friend is talking about their personal beliefs regarding parenting, and you think their words are an attack against your style of parenting. Then we have blaming. Blaming refers to making others responsible for how you feel. You made me feel very bad is what usually defines this cognitive distortion. This distortion comes from believing that other people have the power to affect your life than yourself. Control fallacies. This cognitive distortion can go two opposite ways. One, you feel in control of everything in your life or in other people's lives, or you feel you have no control at all over anything in your life. For example, you couldn't complete a report that was due today, and you immediately think, of course I couldn't complete it. My boss was overworking me, and everyone was so loud today at the office. Who can get anything done like that? So you feel someone has control over what is happening in your life. Then the next distortion is global labeling. So this is an extreme form of overgeneralization that leads you to judge an action without taking context into account. You judge all solutions the same, with the same label from an isolated event. The labels assigned are usually negative and very extreme. For example, your teammate doesn't submit a report on time, and you label them as useless just because someone did same some time ago. The useless label in this sense is very extreme. That is global labeling. Next, cognitive distortion, always being right. And this is pretty straightforward. This cognitive distortion makes you see your opinions alone as the facts of life. And this is why you will go to a great length to prove that you are right. You are always being right, always authoritative. Then we have fallacy of change. And here, you expect other people to change their ways to suit your needs and yours alone, particularly when you pressure them enough. A very clear example is a partner wanting the other to focus on only him or her, despite knowing that that partner has always been social and values time with friends and family. That is a fallacy of change. Emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning is a cognitive distortion which leads you to believe that the way you feel is a reflection of reality. And so you make statements like, I feel this way about this situation, hence it must be a fact. That is an emotional reasoning. Then we come to the cognitive distortion called shoulds. And here, you set subjective ironclad rules for yourself and others without considering the specifics of a circumstance. You tell yourself and others that things should be done a certain way without any exception. For example, you think people should always be on time regardless of what comes their way, although you don't know tomorrow. Or that someone who is independent should be self-sufficient and should never ask for help. This is a very wild cognitive distortion. Then, last but not the least, the fallacy of fairness. Here, you believe you alone know what is really fair and what is not, expecting everyone to agree with your scale of fairness. Then you want to judge situations or events by your scale of fairness, and you get upset if others don't agree with you. That is a cognitive distortion that can affect your social well-being. Now, the good thing here is that cognitive distortions, most of them can be reversed if they are understood and those involved are aware of such cognitive distortions. And they are really important, especially at the family level or among couples, because cognitive distortions can really distort relationships. Seek help from mental health personnel or professional so you enrich your social interactions. Kindly note that seeking or deciding to seek help does not mean you are mad, because mental health matters. And thank you for watching this episode of TutorMed. Please do not forget to like and share this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Hit your notification bell for more important videos like these. See you in our next discussion, and until then, arrivederci. Bye.